Torgrimsom. About half her day is lost due to our cell phones. That means that every year we approximately lose 180 days due to our devices. This information is from Kathleen Kowalski, a professor of psychology from Indiana, from this article from the journal Science News for Students, published in 2017. We have all had this happen before, where we are focused on completing a task, often important, where a cell phone distracts and pulls our attention away from us. The Persuasive School Board should increase the regulations of cell phones used by students in school during school days. First, I will explain the problems cell phones bring to schools. Second, I will explain the benefits and how we should not use our phones. Let's start with how cell phones affect our health. Cell phones can affect us in numerous different ways, including our health. Stated by Dr. Mark Burton, who is a developmental pediatrician at UC Berkeley. In the journal Greater Good Science Center, published in 2019, states that the worst thing that we can do with our cell phones is to use them right before we go to bed. When we use our phones before bed, it makes our brain stay up longer, and this makes our sleep schedule become not correct. When we're on our phones all the time, it also affects our relationships, and this can lower our self-esteem. When we are browsing Instagram or surfing on the internet, our brains automatically start comparing us to other people or to other things that catch our eye that we want but we don't have, and this can lower our sense of well-being. So smartphones can also just affect our productivity and can take our attention away just like that. Take our attention away just like that. I have no idea. Now we know how it affects us. Let's see how it affects us, or let's talk about how it affects us during school. Eric Rice, who is a professor of social work at the University of Southern California, in the American Journal of Public Health, published in 2015, states that every 100 minutes we're on our phones, it decreases our score 6.3 out of 100. This means that if we're taking a test and we're supposed to or expected to score 100 points, it'll decrease our score to around 93 or 94 out of 100. And this can be doubled when we are using our phones in class to decrease our score to 87 to 88. It's also proven that the increase in phone time is led to a decrease in academic scores, proven by Andrew Webb, who is a professor in schools of FLA at Kent State University. In the journal, The Relationship Between Cell Phone Use and Academic Performance, published in 2015. He also noticed that checking your phone during school can become a terrible habit, and this habit can turn into an addiction that can stick with you for a long, extensive period of time. This is the same case for video games, where it starts as a habit and turns into an addiction. Finally, let's talk about the usage of cell phones in middle schools and cyberbullying. Stated by Robin Kozlowski, who is a professor of psychology at Clemson University, in the journal School of Violence, published in 2015, states that social media such as Twitter or Instagram is the #1 venue for cyberbullying in middle schools. She also noticed that every 50 minutes a student is on their phone, they're more likely to become a victim of cyberbullying. Also, the students' peers have more of an impact on the students of cyberbullying rather than just random people texting over the internet. Now we know the problems that cell phones bring to schools. Let's talk about the benefits to lower our cell phone usage. The Persuasive School Board should enforce strict regulations on cell phone usage. According to Alexandra Godoy, who is a professor in the Department of Economics at the Getulio Vargas Foundation, which is a higher education institution in Brazil, in the book Computers and Education, published in 2018, states that these regulations can help everybody in any school. With no cell phones in school, the focus of the students will be strictly on their homework and not on their phones. This can release the temptation to look at their phones in case of a text message or just to look on social media. This focus can also improve the academic scores in general and also decrease the phone usage for every student. With no phones in school, it can also benefit us outside of school. Students will be more likely to talk person to person than to hop on their phone and text or Snapchat each other. They'll also be more likely to work on their schoolwork once they get home instead of going on their phones and being distracted by them for hours. Giving up your phones to complete your work is a lot easier than expected with just a few easy steps. A step you can do is to set a timer for how long you want to be on your phone. Say you need or want to be on your phone for an hour. Set a timer for that long, and once that timer goes off, put your phone away and focus on the task at hand. If that doesn't work, a simple way is to leave your phone in a different room or get it out of sight and out of mind. Because once your brain is focused on the work and not tempted by your phone, the task at hand will become a lot simpler. First, I talked about how cell phones affect our schools. Second, I talked about the benefits and how we can stop using our phones every day. The Torgrimsom School Board should enforce stricter regulations on cell phone usage of students during school days. When enforcing these new rules, distractions will become a minimum and the 180 days expected will be reduced substantially.
6:53.